Hey, this is Overpass Insights. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about the importance of commenting your code. Alright, so today let's talk a little bit about code comments. Exciting, right? I can remember when I first started learning how to code like over 20 years ago, everything was exciting. It was like variables and operators and functions and methods and loops and all this kind of and if statements. And then there was, code comments. And they're like, okay, cool. If I ever need to like write a little note in the code, I guess I can. Right? It didn't seem as cool as everything else. It seemed kind of boring. Like, why would you ever do that? Right? But it's kind of one of those things where any senior software developer will tell you they turn out to be hugely important. Right? To have code that actually has comments in it, that you're actually documenting not so much what you've done, but why you've done it. Early in my career, I remember having this manager. I was working in this development team in one of the investment banks, and we had this new manager come in, and he wanted to throw his weight around a little bit. And one of the things he did is he told us, like, I want you to comment everything you do in your code. Me, as a non-coder, should be able to look at your code and figure out what it's doing just by your comments. And I was like, seriously? Everything? Like, wouldn't it help just to learn the language a little bit? So then those kind of situations I kind of thought was overkill. Like, you could actually, I honestly believe you could comment, well, okay, you can't comment too much, right? You can't put too many comments in there, but it does get difficult when you're making changes a lot. You have to think, can we go back through and update those comments? But I've always thought that it's not so much important to document the what you're doing as it is the why you're doing it, especially if it's something outside the norm. There's been so many times in my career, and possibly in yours too, where you've been brought in to work on a project that a previous developer has worked on. And in those kind of situations, a lot of the times you'll find like a function that doesn't quite make sense, or a bit of code that you're like, why did he do it that way? Was it, it looks deliberate, like, something that doesn't look like a mistake or like a naive developer did it, but like something like a deliberate thing. And you're like, I want to change this, but I'm not quite sure why he went this way about it when he could have easily done this other thing over here. And so you start to ask around other developers. Like, if you didn't leave a comment to say why, then you're kind of like, ooh, it's a production system. I don't really want to mess with this so much. A lot of times you'll just like, I'm going to leave that as is, which is terrible because you have this code in there that just nobody knows why it is the way it is, but it just is. Right? And you go around asking other developers, do you know why he may have done this? Or ask the business owners, do you know why he may have done this? And they're all like, nope, I don't know. Right? And a lot of the times it's like there's a good reason. Like somebody sent an email and said, okay, Dave from marketing said on this date that, we need to ignore this group of people, or, whatever. Like, something's come down from somewhere. It could be a Jira ticket somewhere, or it could, ideally, a Jira ticket somewhere, but a lot of times it's an email or a conversation in a meeting, or somebody just stopped by the guy's desk and said, oh, in this situation, do this, and he just makes the code. It's easy to change code, but if nobody knows why that's done, later on when it changes hands, it's really, really difficult. So a lot of times you need those comments. They don't seem important when you're writing the code. It's later on that you start to realize how important they are. And you're not always writing them for the next developer. A lot of the times, you're writing them for the future you. This is one of those weird things where, I don't know if, so some of you guys may identify with this. This has happened to me several times in the past, where I get a call from like a company I used to work for, or a developer that works at a company that I used to work for, and you'll say, hey, I wonder if you can help me out with something. There was this function that we're not quite sure, like you have this comment here, I'm not quite sure what it means. Can you tell me what it is? I'm like, I don't think I worked on that. And they're like, no, here's this function, you wrote a comment, and they'll like read it back to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it, it's, so, apparently it was vague or whatever. So like, oh, no, you need to talk to so-and-so. It says Dave. It says Dave told you to do this. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, he's no longer there. You think, oh, what was his last name and everything like that. So a lot of times you're writing those comments for your future self. Even if you're working on your own projects, like it never is going to leave your workstation, although you should put it in a Git. You should check it in a remote Git somewhere because, you could have a fire, whatever. Your PC gets stolen or your Mac gets stolen, right? But even if you don't ever plan on anybody else looking at it, there's so many times you look at it like an old bit of code that you worked on and you can't remember what it was. I've always been of the opinion that you should comment on the what, not on the what you were doing, because that should be self-explanatory. You know, a lot of the stuff we do in software development is routine, but the why you're doing what you're doing, especially if it's something that's, you know, it's kind of out of the ordinary. Even like the why a function exists. What is the purpose of that function? And a lot of times put the date in there, like just so you know why you did what you did. You can think back, you know, there's been times where I have to go back through my emails to find like an email example of somebody telling me to do a certain thing because it's causing problem on some other system somewhere else. Anyway, I just want to put this video out there because I know that code comments don't seem all that important, especially when you're first starting out in software development, but they are hugely important. It's always important to comment on why you're doing what you're doing, and then ideally put a date in there too. Like, you know, well, first of all, who you are. If more than one person are working on it, who you are, what you've done, why you've done it, and the date. A little date stamp. So let me know if you guys disagree with me. I mean, and for those of you guys who've had trouble with code comments in the past, you know, like, if you want to put in the comments like a situation where you've been saved by a comment that you've put in the past because you could not remember why you've done something the way you've done it. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.